Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. My name is CJ. Some people just call me Curry. Some people call me Chef. Whatever you do, don't call me any bad names because I'm sensitive and I've got feelings. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to be taking a look at tonight's NBA slate. We've got just two games to talk about, but they both should be pretty good ones. So thank you so much for being here. If you're not subscribed to the channel, we just passed 6,000 subscribers. I appreciate everybody who is subscribed, but if you're not, now's your chance. Hit that subscribe button. We're going all the way to the moon, folks. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure that notifications are turned on. You can do that by going down there next to the subscribe button and ringing that bell so that I can alert you anytime I post something new, whether it be a live stream, whether it be some sort of pre-recorded content, whatever it is that I post. You'll be alerted as long as those notifications are turned on. While you're down there mixing around, punching buttons, hit that like button for me as well. We're going to try and run these likes up once again. Get as close as we can to 100 likes. I know this earlier start time at 10 a.m. Eastern, it's throwing a few of you off. Some of you folks aren't quite awake yet. Some of you aren't alert. Some of you can't make it to these live streams this early. I get it. I really do. But on days like today, it makes more sense for me to be live because we got MLB kicking off here at like 1 o'clock Eastern time. So when I do these live streams at 10 a.m., I'm able to spend a little time after I get done with the show to go out there and do some MLB player prop research. And we've been doing really well with the MLB props. So shout out to everybody in Patreon. I see already we've got some people in the live chat who are talking about the successes, the joys of being a Patreon member. If you're interested in thinking about joining Patreon, you could do so at the first of the month. That's the most bang for your buck. That's probably the best time for you to get involved in Patreon. But I see we've got Kevyan Chapman in the building. He says, "Oh, I'm here early, Mr. CJ." Well, I appreciate you being here. Leroy's in the building. He left the first like of the day. Appreciate you, Leroy, for all the support. You're here almost every single day, so thank you for that. Mr. Tony Ruiz went 3 for 3 on his picks yesterday. Shout out to Tony, man. Dropped some nice MLB picks yesterday. Had a good day overall yesterday with some MLB, some NBA, and even some CSGO. So shout out to you, Mr. Ruiz. Mark H., my fellow Floridian, my fellow Tampa native. Well, I don't know if he's a native, but my fellow Tampa friend. He says, "Good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. I hope you're doing well as well." Drew Breeze in the building. Good morning to you. What's good, Patreon gang? Well, what's good with you, man? It's not all about us. Sometimes it's about you. What's good with you? What's going on in your life? Hopefully everything's going well, Mr. Breeze. Appreciate you being here. Mr. Nick Guthrie says, "Good morning, CJ and fam. Thanks for the MLB picks yesterday. Hit 5 of 5, 2 days in a row." Well, good for you. Those 10x payouts are super clutch, super huge when you hit one of those. Everyday Fantasy's here. He says, "Good morning, good peoples. We will be green today. Don't worry. Just be confident in that Patreon gang. It looks like no Levine and Caruso for the Bulls." Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a minute. T-Bone says, "Y'all know the drill. Smash the like button. Let's go. Let's go." Desmond, another one of our community members, our Patreon gang members. He hit 3 for 3 on his picks yesterday. Him and Mr. Ruiz, the MVPs of the Patreon community last night. I'll put myself up there as a third star. That's a hockey reference. I'll be the third star in honorable mention. I think I ended up going 4 for 5. And I had one push on my picks yesterday that I posted. So 4 for 5 with one push. I think I'll take that any day of the week. Zaddy's in the building, says, "I like this new time. I can actually be here now." Well, there you go. There's one person that likes the earlier start time. Cameron's in the building. The Anthony Edwards taco hit last night. Yep. But the Brandon Ingram one did not, unfortunately. Wow. AOD, you caught me off guard with that. He says, "Yo, packing a fat bowl in the apple. Cheers." Wow. Yeah, that one caught me off guard, brother. AOD says, "I appreciate these early videos. GOAT." Well, I appreciate you being here. Matt Sessions says, back after a brief hiatus. Good to see you again, brother. Good to see you as well, Matt. Ricky says, I'll be joining on the 1st. Can't wait to have you as a part of the community. Emo, good morning, fam. May can't come fast enough trying to get that new Patreon sub. Well, we would love to have you, Emo. We really would. Jojo Rabbit says, hello, everybody. Just popping in to say what's up. Have to adult today, but looking forward to the Discord discussion at 5 p.m. today. Yeah, we do a daily 5 p.m., I guess you can call it like a podcast, a live audio stream with just our Patreon members inside Discord. So that's one of the things that I like to do to give back to those who are supporting through Patreon. We basically kind of just put all of our heads together, all of our picks together, and we discuss them on our live, it's like a live talk show inside Discord. So Lute's email says, I've been doing bad the last couple of days. It's been bad for me. Yeah, I've had some bad beats as well. Last night, Luis Severino was the bad beat. I don't want to go, into depth and detail about this, but basically, Luis Severino would have gotten us the over on his fantasy points had he just not come out for the 7th inning. But for whatever reason, they brought him out. Boone and the New York Yankees thought, let's bring him out for the 7th. What's the worst that could happen? Well, he faces one hitter rather, and gives up a leadoff double, and then immediately gets pulled. And then that double ends up turning into an earned run against Severino. He ends up losing the quality start, ends up getting dinged for an earned run, and despite getting the win, it wasn't enough, man, because of that earned run and losing the quality start. So that was a bad beat on Luis Severino. A couple nights before that, it was Dwight Powell at 4.5 rebounds. He hit 5 rebounds, and then by some force of nature, they pulled a rebound from him. He ended up with 4. So I've had some bad beats of my own, Lutz. It happens, man. It happens. I'd like to sit up here and tell you that, man, we're winning every single night. Every single pick hits every single time. But no, that's not the case. That's just not the reality of the situation. That's just not the way it goes, man. There's going to be these rough patches. There's going to be these ups and downs. You're not going to win them all. You're not going to win them all. So that's why you have to have some bankroll management, a little bit of discipline, and be able to weather sort of those rocky times when things aren't going your way. But it's a new day, and hopefully things go our way more than they don't this time around. So let's go ahead and start talking about today's NBA games. Like I said, just 2 of them. Not a whole lot of NBA action going on. Now, this first one, Chicago at the Milwaukee Bucks. Listen, the Chicago Bulls are on life support. I mean, it's just a matter of time, right, before Milwaukee goes ahead and pulls the plug on these Chicago Bulls. They're giving it the old college try. They're giving it their best effort. They're doing all that they can to try and hang around in this series, but I think that these injuries, they just keep piling up for the Chicago Bulls. It's going to be a blowout. I just think it's going to be a blowout. It's in Milwaukee. Chicago now without Lonzo Ball. We've known that. He's been out for a majority of the end of the regular season and, of course, all the playoff games. But now compounding factors such as Zach LaVine being out, Alex Caruso being out. I mean, Chicago is really, really in deep trouble tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. No Lonzo Ball, no Alex Caruso, no Zach LaVine. It's going to be DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic just doing everything that they can to survive tonight. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think ultimately they will fall short. They will lose this game. Milwaukee's a good team, man. And I just don't think Chicago is going to be able to keep up. But anyway, 217.5 points. We're looking at a 12-point spread right now. So, yeah, I think that the blowout is just it's just a matter of time. It's a formality at this point. So that's your first game. Not looking too nice there. 10 o'clock, late night, Denver at Golden State, 225.5 points on this game. This one also kind of starting to get into that blowout status, blowout territory with a 9-point spread favoring the Golden State Warriors. Nothing crazy happened in terms of injury news from either side of this game. It's the same old guys. Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray are out for Denver. For Golden State, James Wiseman continues to sit. So this one has the higher scoring total. at 225.5. It also has the more competitive, closer spread at just 9 points. But both of these games looking a little, dicey. Dicey, we'll call it dicey. So be careful. Don't go too crazy on either one of these games here. Pick your spots. Try to do a good job with finding some quality value on some of these props. And hopefully by the end of today's live stream, you'll have a better idea of what you should be doing. But yeah, I expect the usage for Nikola Vucevic, for DeMar DeRozan to be through the roof. But to Trey Prince's point, probably going to see some of these role players step up. Your Patrick Williams, your, I don't know. Who else are they going to give us? Chicago props. All we have right now is DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, and Patrick Williams. I mean, I guess we'll get some Dosunmu at some point. I don't know. What else? Hopefully they give us some more props. But right now, we've only got 3 Bulls on the board. DDR, Vooch, and Pat Williams. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Obviously, we'll be using props.cash to help us with our player prop research. Let me refresh props.cash here. Make sure we have all the latest data pulled into props.cash. Yeah, Kobe White, there you go. He'll definitely be in a bigger role. Props.cash, if you want to get signed up, 25% off your first month of props.cash. We got obviously the NBA playoffs underway. The NHL playoffs are right around the corner, and we're in full swing now with the start of the MLB season. Code Curry over on props.cash gets you 25% off your first month. So if you want to save a few dollars, click the link down in the description below and get signed up for some props.cash. So what I'm going to be doing here is looking at the NBA player prop trends. I'm going to change the split. Instead of looking at current season, at this point in the playoffs, I just want to look at the last 5 games. I don't really care anymore about what they're doing in the regular season. I want to look at these last 5 games and kind of get an idea of how things have been shaking out here. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to be starting by looking at the points props. I'm going to also filter this out by game. So let's start by looking at the Chicago-Milwaukee game specifically. Now, the props that we have up on the board here, we've got Wes Matthews at 5.5 points, has an 80% hit rate, but we're getting Wes Matthews at 6.5 on PrizePicks. So we're going to have to pay a little bit of Wes Matthews tax here, a little bit of a premium. We're getting him at 6.5. He's at 5.5 from what it seems like out on your sports book. So we'll have to take a look at that a little bit closer if we're interested. Brook Lopez, 13.5 points. He's had back-to-back bad games, but at 13.5 over the last 5 games, a 60% hit rate for him. Nikola Vucevic, he's at 19.5 on PrizePicks. He's listed at 20.5 on props.cash. At 20.5, he's got a 40% hit rate. So we'll have to see what happens when Zach LaVine is out of the lineup and how it impacts the rest of these Chicago Bulls. We got DeMar DeRozan at 27.5 points. He is listed at 29.5 over on props.cash, just a 20% hit rate for him. You got Jrue Holiday up at 20.5 points, just a 20% hit rate for him over the last 5. Bobby Portis, 20% hit rate. And Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's at 31.5 on PrizePicks, 33.5 over on props.cash. At 33.5 points, the last 5 games, he is 0 for 5, a 0% hit rate. A 0% hit rate at covering 33.5. But again, we're getting him at 31.5. So you guys let me know which props you want to take a look at. We can go ahead and start things off by talking Patrick Williams. I see some folks mentioning Patrick Williams. So let's go ahead and start by looking at this Milwaukee-Chicago game, and then we'll move on to the next one. But Patrick Williams is the guy that you want to talk about, so let's do that. Appreciate everybody being here. If I missed anyone, I see Chill Robots just jumped in here. Happy hump day to you. Thanks for being here, Mr. Chill Robots. But anyway, Patrick Williams at 10.5 points the last 5 games. He is 3 for 5. Specifically in this series against the Milwaukee Bucks, 4 games played against Milwaukee. He's hit the over at 10.5 points in just 1 out of 4 games. So a 25% hit rate. But without Zach LaVine, without Alex Caruso, somebody's going to have to step up. That usage that Zach LaVine is vacating, those shots that Zach LaVine will be vacating, will have to be picked up by someone, somewhere. I wouldn't say that it's all going to go to DeMar DeRozan, but obviously we would say that he's probably going to be the biggest benefactor of Zach LaVine being out of the lineup. Vucevic, of course, he would be second in the pecking order, but this guy right here could be a dark horse at 10.5 points to kind of emerge as someone who benefits without Zach LaVine in the lineup. So we saw him drop 20 points in the last game. Again, just a 25% hit rate in this series so far. Now, if we go take a look at Patrick Williams against Milwaukee this season, he has played them now a total of 6 times. He's just 2 for 6. 2 for 6 overall. But again, the increased usage, the increased opportunities for Patrick Williams should be there. They should be there. Moving down here, just taking a closer look at Patrick Williams so far in this series as far as his minutes go. He's been seeing some pretty healthy minutes, especially over the last 3 games. Game 1 didn't play a whole lot, just 23 minutes in that one. Since then, though, 32 minutes, 30.5 minutes, and 32.7 minutes. With those minutes, we've seen an increase in field goal attempts as well. After shooting the ball just 3 times in Game 1, he has come back shooting the ball 9, 9, and 13 times, respectively, over the last 3 games. Now, it's not all rainbows and unicorns for Patrick Williams. The games where he shoots 9 shots, they don't always turn out great. Like this one right here, he shot 9 times, went 0 for 9. A 0% field goal percentage, so that is not good, right? But the opportunities are there. He just needs to make his shots and capitalize on them. Shoots a pretty good field goal percentage most of the time. 56% in this one, 54% in his most recent game, going 7 for 13 from the field. Not a big-time three-point shooter. He's not going to take a lot of threes, so I'm probably not interested in any type of three-point props for this guy. The volume is starting to creep up, so he's starting to take more threes, but I wouldn't call him the most accurate shooter. He's not a marksman. He's not a three-point specialist typically. I would say he had himself a pretty good game here, though, going 3 for 6 from beyond the arc the last time he touched the floor. As far as free throw attempts go, he gets to the line a few times per game. You know, he'll make a couple here or there, but not a consistent free throw taker or maker. So that's kind of the rundown on Patrick Williams, what we can maybe expect for him. Obviously, the minutes will probably go up. The shot attempts will probably go up again, like I mentioned before, without Zach LaVine. So that kind of gives you an idea of possibly an outcome on Patrick Williams. We've seen him hit the over on 10.5 points, dropping 20 big ones just one game ago. But anyway, his projection today is 12.6 points at 10.5 points. We're seeing some mixed signals here early on in the day, like a site like FanDuel. He's a betting favorite to go under at -116. But on a site like BetMGM, a -130 to go over 10.5 points. Somebody's going to have to step up. Maybe it'll be Patrick Williams. One thing that you could do, there's a tool out there. It's called Court IQ. Let me look it up here. Court IQ by Roto Grinders. Free tool. If you've never used this before, I highly recommend you check it out. What this allows you to do is you can select a team, in this case, the Chicago Bulls, and then you could choose which players you want to take off of the floor for them. So obviously Lonzo Ball is going to be out. We already talked about Zach LaVine's going to be out. We've also mentioned Alex Caruso is going to be out. So you can take those 3 guys off the court. You can hit run. And when you hit run, what this will give you is basically an idea of a sample size. In this case, DeMar DeRozan has played the most minutes with the 3 guys that we took off the floor. Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso. He's played the most minutes this season with those 3 guys off the floor. So he's got a pretty big sample size, over 700 minutes played without those 3. Dosunmu also up there at over 660 minutes played without those 3. Kobe White, another guy who gets a ton of minutes without those 3 on the floor. So anyway, minutes, pay attention to the sample size, and then you could scroll over here and take a look at per minute who benefits the most, right? You could even look at a per 36 minutes. So this is insinuating that if these guys get 36 minutes, this is what could happen. So like a points prop, for example, Patrick Williams, if he gets 36 minutes tonight, potentially could score about 17 to 17 and a half points, somewhere in that range. And that's a pretty small sample size. Once again, he's only played about 63 to 64 minutes this season without LaVine, Ball, and Caruso on the floor. So, take it with a grain of salt, but you got to look into stuff like this when all these players are out. Who benefits the most? We see that the person who's received the most usage is Mac McClung, but then you got to go look at his minutes. He's only played 2.5 minutes. So we kind of throw him away, right? The next guy who's probably going to be the usage beast is going to be DeMar DeRozan at 38.1 usage. 38.1 percentage for usage. If he gets 36 minutes, potentially could score 31 plus points in this game. A guy like Vucevic, 22.6 points. He's had over 400 minutes played without the three guys that we talked about, Levine, Ball, and Caruso. So there's some upside for some of these guys here. But no surprise here that DeMar DeRozan's leading the way with usage at 38.1%. And then Vucevic is right behind him at 29.5%. So I highly recommend you go out, take a look at Court IQ. It is a free tool provided by Roto Grinders. It's one that I've leaned on in the past, but take a look at some of this data. We won't go over everything, but you can kind of get an idea how many minutes these guys have played without Levine, Ball, and Caruso. Who gets, the biggest bump in usage? I mean, if you scroll down here, it'll even show you the differentials for these guys this season. Like who really sees the biggest uptick. Like you could see Patrick Williams' usage. He gets a bump of 6.7% usage with those three guys off the floor. So his usage is going to probably see the biggest spike. Right behind him, DeMar DeRozan's usage goes up 5.6% when those three guys are off the floor. Vucevic right there at 4%. I mean, so you can kind of get an idea of what's going to happen here. Shows you how many more fantasy points we could possibly expect with those three guys off the floor. So really handy tool. Like I said, not going to beat this to death. Not going to go through all the little nooks and crannies here. But you got to imagine that Patrick Williams will see a pretty nice uptick. So from there, who else do you guys want to talk about? Point-wise. Guys, let me know. Giannis, he was kind of interesting at 33.5 points. He was a 0%. Let's talk about Giannis real quick. Let's do a deep dive on Giannis and against the Chicago Bulls team more specifically. We're getting him at 31.5 points. So at 33.5 points in his last 5 games, he is 0 for 5. He's just 1 for 8 against the Chicago Bulls, covering 33.5. But we're getting him at 31.5, which changes things up. It makes our decision a little bit more difficult here. The last 4 games, all of them in this playoff series against the Bulls, he has covered 31.5 points at a 50% hit rate. So he is 2 for 4 in this series. Going back over the course of this regular season, 8 games played against the Chicago Bulls, he's 3 for 8, 38% hit rate. So this prop at 31.5 is, like I said, a lot more challenging. If we had him at 33.5, I think we'd feel kind of comfortable. Just go ahead and click in the under, right, on Giannis with just a 1 for 8 hit rate against Chicago, 0 for 4 against Chicago this series. But we've got a little bit of a more difficult decision here. We know what Giannis can do, obviously one of the best players in the league. Let's take a look at the games in which he's hit, what the determining factor is. So game 1, he played 33.8 minutes, kind of down for him. Game 2, he played over 40 minutes and by no accident hit the point prop at 31.5. Game 3, he only played 29 minutes, did not hit. Game 4, he played 34.8 minutes, which is the second highest minutes total he's had in this series. And once again, did hit his points prop. So obviously there's a direct correlation. The more minutes he plays, the more shots he takes, and the more opportunities he will have to hit the over on his points. So he only shot the ball 19 times in game 1, 12 times in game 3. But you see in game 2 and game 4, he shot the ball 20 and 22 times and went over his point prop in both. Those were the games where he had elevated minutes, where he played more minutes, right? Got to be out on the floor in order to rack up points, rebounds, assists, etc. Not going to shoot a ton of threes, not going to make a ton of threes, so no 3-point props for me on Giannis. His free throw makes have kind of been all over the place. You could also see that there's a direct correlation, kind of like we talked about with Ja Morant in yesterday's live stream. Ja Morant, typically, when he hits his point prop, it's because he's getting to the free throw line. Same thing with Giannis here in this series so far. The games in which he's hit his point prop, He's also seen highs when it comes to free throw attempts. So game 2, he went to the free throw line 18 times, or took 18 free throws, made 11 out of 18. Game 4, when he hit his point prop, he went to the free throw line 12 times and knocked down 9 of 12. So if he's getting to the free throw line, if he's making the free throw opportunities, he will have a much better chance of hitting the over on his point prop. So more minutes lead to more field goal attempts, lead to more free throw attempts and opportunities, and it leads to him hitting the over on his props more often than not. So that's kind of the name of the game. Minutes lead to more opportunities. So do we think that Giannis comes out here and looks to kind of put the nail in the coffin tonight? Is it pedal to the metal for Giannis? Do we think he's going to go over 31.5 points? I don't know. Maybe. You know, he could come out and absolutely try to kill these guys. I will say this, that on every sports book out there, we're getting him at 33.5 points. That is a 2-point difference versus where he is at on PrizePicks. A 2-point value, 2-point discount. PrizePicks has him at 31.5. He's at 33.5 on the sports books. I'll tell you this, at 33.5, people are betting the under. And I think if we had him at 33.5, it would be an easier decision for us to just go ahead and take the under on Giannis, right? But we're in a difficult situation, a difficult spot, being that he's at 31.5 points instead of 33.5. He's got a favorable projection, 34.8 points. If we round that up and call it 35, 35 versus 31.5, that's a pretty significant gap, a difference of 3.5 points. So what are you guys going to do? You guys going to take Giannis Antetokounmpo over 31.5 points tonight? Or are you leaving this one alone? Are we going to see Giannis come out and kill the Chicago Bulls, a shorthanded Chicago Bulls team? You guys let me know. I like to take the temperature of the room. I like to see what you guys are thinking about some of these props. I see King United said, fade Giannis. Ooh. So you're just not even going to go there. Nick saying fade, I guess, with that thumbs down. Ricky saying fade as well. Jeremiah, you're wanting to take the under on Giannis, even at 31.5 points. Dangerous proposition. Under for Matt as well. Whew, okay. All right. I think it's either a fade or you take the over. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Fade or take the over. Jay, you're asking about Fantasy Labs. You're thinking about investing in it. It's a little pricey. It's on the pricier side. There are some free sites out there that offer some free single stat player prop projections, most notably Numberfire. You've got Betting Pros. You've got RotoWire. I would say start with those first. If you want to kind of see what the projections are like, start with some of those free sites. And then, you know, if you're not seeing good results, if you want to take your game to the next level kind of thing, then try out Action Labs and Fantasy Labs. They offer fantasy point projections, single stat player prop projections for a number of different sports. So what other point props are you guys wanting to look at? I saw some people saying something about Aaron Gordon. We'll get to that in just a minute. Is there anything else from this game, though? I see Ricky Carroll's asking about Brook Lopez at 13.5. We kind of hinted at it a little earlier. Lopez started this series off, tremendous, right? He came out of the gates in this series dropping some pretty big scoring games. 18 points in game 1. We saw him drop 25 big points in game 2. But in 2 road games against the Chicago Bulls in this series, he saw his field goal attempts his points output fall off big time. 9 points, and then I think that says 2 points. I can't quite make it out. But nonetheless, Lopez now has faced Chicago this season a total of 6 times. He has covered in 3 of 6, 50% hit rate. And he still averages a pretty healthy 15.3 points per game against the Bulls. So I don't know that we're completely writing Brook Lopez off. In other words, I don't know if he's like in timeout as far as taking any overs on him. Let's dig into it a little bit further here and see if we can figure out what in the world has happened to Brook Lopez over the last 2 games. Well, I can tell you this. In games 1 and 2, he saw healthy minutes, 32.2 minutes, 35.2 minutes. Which is the most minutes he's seen in any matchup versus the Chicago Bulls in any game this season. But something weird happened here. Game 3, 25.4 minutes. Game 4, just 21.8 minutes. You started to see Brook Lopez over the last 2 games and his minutes diminish, right? Over 30 minutes in games 1 and 2 at home, less than 30 minutes in games 3 and 4 on the road. So what gives, Brook Lopez? What is the situation? Is it foul trouble? Maybe it's foul trouble. Let's go take a look. Well, game 4, I think you could probably draw a direct correlation to him being in foul trouble. He picked up 5 fouls in that game. So that'll definitely take the wind out of your sails. In other words, that will cause you to be glued to the bench versus being out there on the floor getting you some points, right? But the same cannot be said for game 3. Was game 3 a blowout? You guys refresh my memory. Was game 3 a blowout? Because he only had 1 foul in game 3, but yet only played 25 minutes in that game. Maybe that was he a victim of a blowout in game 3? Can you guys refresh my memory? I don't remember. I hear you. Bobby Portis has definitely come on strong. Game 3 was a blowout, Gabriel? That could be part of what happened. Scotty Sal says blowout game 3. Jeremiah says he thinks game 3 was a blowout. Well, I mean, you guys can see it for yourselves here. He was not in foul trouble in game 3, yet saw only 25 minutes out on the floor. Game 4, we can say foul trouble. Tonight is projecting to be a blowout, so if you're worried about that, then maybe you don't take the over on Brook Lopez. But we've seen what Brook Lopez can do against the Chicago Bulls team. The Bulls are not very good against bigs. So it's a matter of, do you trust Brook Lopez or do you trust Bobby Portis more? Because one of these two guys is probably going to feast tonight. I kind of want to go back to Brook Lopez at home in Milwaukee. Hopefully he doesn't get into any foul trouble or anything like that. Hopefully he repeats the success that he had in games 1 and 2 of this series, where he dropped 18 and 25 points. It's, could be one of those bounce back type of spots for him. But yeah, it's all about the minutes, man. It's like it's all about the Benjamins. It's all about the minutes. So when his minutes are not there, his field goal attempts obviously are not there. So obviously direct correlation. This isn't rocket science. You got to be out on the court in order for you to take shots and make shots and hit the over on your points props, right? So I don't think Brook Lopez is phased out of this offense or anything. I don't think he is no longer a factor or a part of the Milwaukee Bucks and their game script or scheme or anything like that. I think he just needs to get the minutes. He was a victim of a blowout in one game. He was a victim of foul trouble in another game. So yes, Bobby Portis absolutely capitalized on the situation. Anyway, moving forward here, let's get you a projection on Lopez. His points projection today is 17.3, so that's almost 4 points more than the 13.5. At 13.5 points, we're seeing most sites, not all, but most, take the over on Brook Lopez. So those are real life people with real money going on to these online sports books and choosing over or under on these props. So in this case, they're taking the over on Brook Lopez at 13.5 points on DraftKings, BetMGM, stuff like that. So maybe he's due for a bounce back. All right. There you go. Let's see. What other point props do you guys want to talk about from this game before we move on? Yeah, this could be a closeout game, so I could definitely see them leaning on, the Giannis's, the Lopez's of the world. Hunter Scott said he's going to fade Lopez. I thought he was calling Giannis's line too high. Oh, you're going to fade Lopez? Okay. Holiday, Jeremiah, you want to take a look at some Jrue Holiday at 20.5? We could do that for you. We could definitely do that for you. Obviously, Chris Middleton, believe he's still out. So Jrue Holiday, Giannis, some of these other folks are going to have to step up. Holiday did have himself a pretty big game the last time that he played Chicago, finishing with 26 points against the Bulls. Obviously, no Zach LaVine or Alex Caruso tonight. Should mean an easier night for Jrue Holiday against Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu. I mean, those are the guys that are going to probably be guarding Jrue Holiday for the most part, right? So Jrue Holiday, so far this series, is just 1 for 4. Had the 26-point outburst in Game 4. Otherwise, 15, 15, and 16. His minutes have been there for pretty much all of these games. Game 3, kind of like Lopez, saw his minutes drop because of what you guys are saying is a blowout. They ended up getting blown out. The Chicago Bulls did. So no need to run those stars ragged in a game that is clearly in hand. But otherwise, 39 minutes in Game 1, about 38 minutes in Game 2. Game 4, we saw him at 37 minutes. So the minutes are typically healthy there, pending no blowout. Field goal attempts have been pretty solid too. 16 in Game 1, 16 in Game 2. 14 in Game 3, 21. Shot the ball 21 times in Game 4. So I don't know if he's going to do that again tonight. Obviously, we talked about Lopez being in foul trouble. Going back to Lopez, he is a pretty big part of their offense whenever he's out on the floor. But with 5 fouls, probably saw his minutes and field goal attempts drop off due to that foul trouble. So somebody stepped up, and in this case, it was Jrue Holiday stepping up, shooting the ball 21 times, going 10 for 21. Typically doesn't have great field goal percentages in this series so far, 38% in games 1 and 2. Did shoot pretty well in Game 3, 50%, 7 for 14, and then about 48% on 21 attempts is pretty darn good. As far as three-pointers go for Holiday, not a guy that I take a lot of three-point props on. It's very rarely that you'll see him shoot the ball 8 times from beyond the arc and make 5. Most of these game logs against the Chicago Bulls, he's sitting down there at like 1 to 2 3-point makes. So it's not somebody that I'm going to trust to take and make a ton of threes, nor will I be taking his free throw props. Just doesn't get to the free throw line against the Chicago Bulls this season. The most that he's ever gotten to the free throw line is 4 times. Has never exceeded against the Chicago Bulls 3 free throw makes in any of his games this season. So he's typically getting to the line for like 2 attempts, knocking down 1 or 2 of those. So can't trust him for any type of free throw props. Can't really trust him for any type of 3-point props. And I don't know that I really trust him for his points. I kind of think this was a symptom of Brook Lopez being in foul trouble. And so Jrue Holiday decided, I'm going to just, take a few extra shots tonight. So I don't know. I personally don't trust him as a scorer. When I take Jrue Holiday, I'm probably taking more of his point props, to be honest, or his assist props, rather, to be honest with you. So Jrue Holiday's projected points tonight, 21.4. He is at 20.5 on most sports books out there. Not seeing a lot of line movement. In other words, not a lot of action or juice on this 20.5 point prop. On DraftKings, minus 115 to go over 20.5. On FanDuel, minus 116 to go over 20.5. Otherwise, everywhere else, he's pretty much just even Steven. He's not really being bet over or under. So, I just don't trust Jrue Holiday to score points. Yes, he had a great game in Game 4. I just don't know that he's consistent enough when it comes to scoring for him to do that again tonight. So, I'm going to stay away from that one, personally. Any other ones from this game? I mean, we have pretty limited options here, just 8-point props to talk about, I think we could go ahead and move on. There's some other guys out there. Wes Matthews, if he was at 5.5 points, I'd like it a little bit more. It's still doable. Still doable for him at 6.5, but, we'll have to see. Maybe we'll get some other props. I'm sure we'll get some more Chicago Bull props up on the board throughout the day. But let's move on to this next game because a lot of you folks are asking about a lot of these Denver Nuggets Golden State guys. So I've seen Aaron Gordon's name come up quite a bit at 15.5 points. We've talked about it before. His struggles against this Golden State Warriors team have been well documented by myself. So before we start getting into any of these props here, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the hit rates for the various players participating in this game between Denver and Golden State. Leading the way at 60%, we've got the likes of Klay Thompson at 23.5 points, 60%. Nikola Jokic at 30.5 points, 60%, but we're getting him at 29.5 points. Aaron Gordon at 15.5 points over the last 5 games, 60% for him. Andrew Wiggins, also in the 60% hit club. Not seeing him. Oh, there he is. 14.5 points, 60% hit rate. We got Andrew Wiggins accounted for. And then you got Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Will Barton, all at 40%. Monty Morris at just 20% is at the bottom of the barrel here, right? Lowest hit rate. So we'll start things off with Aaron Gordon. If there's any other point props you guys want me to discuss from this game, Denver and Golden State, point prop only for right now. We'll get to the other ones in just a minute. Let me know. But let's look at Aaron Gordon first and foremost here, because I see that name popping up more than any other name in the chat. So Aaron Gordon is at 15.5 points, 2 for 7 against Golden State this year. In this series, he is 2 for 4, so a 50% hit rate. So if we're looking at just these last 4 games here, disregard this one against Memphis. Obviously, that was a regular season game. But just these last 4 games, you see game 1, he had 8 points at Golden State. Game 2, he had 7 points at Golden State. So he went way under 15.5 points in games 1 and games 2. Then we look at game 3 in Denver, game 4 in Denver, and it's like a tale of two halves, right? When he plays at home, seemingly in this series, he does really well. When he plays on the road, seemingly in this series, he does really bad. So let's go back and look at the games that he's played against Golden State, and we can isolate these by splits. So away this season, against Golden State, he has played them 3 times in Golden State, 10 points, 8 points, and 7 points. 0 for 3 at covering 15.5 points in Golden State. When he's at home at 15.5 points, just 2 for 4, hitting in the last 2 games that he played against the Warriors. All right, so has yet to cover 15.5 points against Golden State when playing at Golden State. So there's that. Let's go back to the all-game view versus Golden State. We'll go down here and take a look at what's happening here with Aaron Gordon. Well, in games 1 and 2, he played just 26 and 25 minutes in games 1 and 2. But then in games 3 and 4, we see his minutes go up to 34.1 and 34.5 respectively. So why did he only play 26 and 25 minutes in games 1 and 2? And why did he play more minutes in games 3 and 4? Let's go take a look. Was he in foul trouble? Not really. Games 1 and games 2, he only had 2 fouls in both of those games. So no foul trouble in game 1 or game 2. He actually had more fouls in games 3 and in games 4, the games where he actually covered his point prop. So I would say that for Aaron Gordon, there is no direct correlation to him being in foul trouble, to him receiving less minutes, to him not hitting his points prop. So it's kind of interesting when you kind of dig past sort of the surface level stuff here on Aaron Gordon. I really don't know why he played just 26 and 25 minutes in games 1 and games 2. It wasn't because of foul trouble. I have no idea. But in games 3 and 4, his minutes are way up. So if he's going to be getting 34, 35 minutes like he has in the last 2 games, he's going to shoot the ball more. And he did. 13 shots, 11 shots in games 3 and games 4. He also got to the free throw line at a pretty good clip here in games 4. Saw his free throw attempts go up in games 3 and 4. I mean, he had only attempted 3 in game 1, 0 in game 2. So I wouldn't be so quick to say smash the under on Aaron Gordon at 15.5 points, because he's getting more minutes now. Roughly 8 to 10 more minutes than he was in games 1 and games 2. So be careful with smashing the under on Aaron Gordon. There's more than meets the eye, all right? Like the old Transformer saying. There's more than meets the eye here. He is projected for 16.8 points tonight against Golden State in Golden State. At 15.5, it looks like most sports bettors are taking the under at 15.5 points. That's where we're seeing the action or the juice come in. They're betting the under on 15.5 points, but it's not a big betting favorite to go under. Minus 115, minus 120, that sort of thing. So, there you go. Aaron Gordon. Something strange there, 25 minutes, games 1 and games 2. 36 minutes in games 3 and games 4. So, yeah, I would be careful with going under on that one. Any other points prop from this game? Let me know. Denver, Golden State before I move on. Duncan says, what's up, y'all? I definitely had the over at 0.5 on the prop of me wearing a hat today. I'm sorry, Duncan. You have lost. You have lost big time because I'm letting the hair out today, baby. Yeah, we in the building. So, yeah, no hat today. Sorry, Duncan. You lose. Duncan, speaking of you, you are liking Andrew Wiggins to go over 14.5 points versus the Denver Nuggets today. So let's go take a look at Andrew Wiggins, possibly one of the more frustrating players. Why do I say he's a frustrating player? Well, because he's got all the talent in the world. He's got all the physical tools and gifts that you could want as a professional basketball player, yet seemingly doesn't always tap into those gifts, does he? Kind of frustrating to watch Andrew Wiggins at times, but 14.5 points for Andrew Wiggins in this series. He is now 2 for 4, 50% hit rate. Overall, against the Denver Nuggets this season, he has hit the over in 3 out of 7, a 43% hit rate. Not a great hit rate for Andrew Wiggins. Not a great one at all. Let's just look at these last 4 games and see what's up with Wiggins. 29 minutes in game 1, 30 in game 2, 28.6 in game 3. So he's floating right around 30 minutes through the first 3 games. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he comes through with 37.2 minutes in game 4. So a significant increase in minutes led to a significant increase in field goal attempts. He shot 16 times the last time he faced the Nuggets, going 9 for 16. Very good field goal percentage. He actually shoots the ball really darn well so far in this series against the Denver Nuggets. 55%, 56%, 50%, and then another 56% in his last game. So, as is the case, if you're out there playing more minutes, you are typically shooting more, and you will have more opportunities to hit the over on your points prop. But do we trust that this sudden increase in minutes for Andrew Wiggins at 37.2 is a new trend? Or were there other circumstances, other factors at play here that led to Andrew Wiggins seeing an increase of nearly 7-8 minutes that game? I don't know. I mean, he had been floating hovering right around 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden comes out of nowhere with 37. So maybe you guys can let me know. Was there a key contributor in foul trouble? Was there a Klay Thompson, a Steph Curry, a Jordan Poole, or somebody like that in foul trouble in that game that led to Andrew Wiggins getting 37 minutes in game 4? You know, I remember a lot of things, but I don't remember everything. So maybe you guys can speak to what in the world happened there, why Wiggins ended up playing about 7 to 8 more minutes in game 4 versus games 2 and 3. Fouls have been pretty much in check here for Andrew Wiggins, just committing 2 per game through this series so far. He's not a big-time free throw taker or maker, not getting to the line a whole lot. As far as his three-point props go, he's sitting right around 1 to 2 per game, typically against this Denver Nuggets squad. So if he's at 1.5 threes, I mean, maybe you're taking a chance on an over with him, but you know, it's been a 50% hit rate type of prop, his 3-point prop at 1.5. So there you go. Hang Time says, James says that Wiggins got more minutes because Klay Thompson got in foul trouble. So if Klay Thompson's not in foul trouble, then maybe Wiggins' minutes come back down to where they were through the first 3 games. Around 30 minutes. And in those games, he only hit his point prop in game 1. Went under in game 2 and 3 with 13 and 19. So, you know, it's going to be one of those situations where we're depending on Klay Thompson maybe getting in foul trouble again to take the under or take the over on Andrew Wiggins at 14.5. So if Thompson gets in foul trouble, then maybe Wiggins benefits the most. Do you really want to place an over bet on Andrew Wiggins at 14.5 points, trying to predict Klay Thompson being in foul trouble? I mean, I don't know. Don't know if I want to go here. But some of you do, or you're at least thinking about it. He is projected for 18.6 points tonight. He is a betting favorite at 14.5 points, minus 130, minus 112. So there you go. Nick saying that both Klay and Draymond Green, they were both in foul trouble in game 4. So yeah, It's one of those things. You're never going to be able to predict foul trouble, right? We talked about it before with Karl Anthony Towns. I said if Karl Anthony Towns can stay out of foul trouble, 23.5 points is going to be easy for him to get. And he did end up hitting the over yesterday on his point prop. I also said if Ja Morant got to the free throw line, 10 or more times, he's going to hit the over on his point prop. Well, he did get to the free throw line, but it's so hard to predict these fouls. These foul calls in favor of Ja Morant getting to the free throw line. These foul calls against Karl Anthony Towns that kept him on the bench for a couple of games in this Memphis-Minnesota series. It's hard to predict those things. You never know what these referees are going to do with that damn whistle. So, appreciate you guys for clarifying. Alfonso, yes, PrizePicks is definitely available in Texas. And hopefully if you sign up for PrizePicks in Texas, Alfonso, you use promo code Curry. I would greatly appreciate that. Salute to you if you decide to go through that. But yeah, any other points props? I'm looking through your comments here. Golden State, Denver, points props. That's what we're talking about. Which ones do you guys like? And any other ones that are standing out to you that we want to talk about? I mean, they're not giving us Jordan Poole, which is kind of weird. I know Jordan Poole's just been dynamite, but Scotty Sal dropping some info. DeRozan has scored 18 and 20 first half points versus the Bucks this season without Zach LaVine. That's a nice one. That could be a good move. Cloudsy, we're still working through the answer to your question. Top 4 today for props. We're still working through that here. Definitely. All right. Well, you guys are not mentioning any other points props from this game. So let's move on and talk about some assist props. Last 5 games, starting with the Chicago-Milwaukee game, we got Giannis at 6.5 assists, 80% hit rate, but he's at 7 assists over on PrizePicks. So getting the higher line on Giannis at 7. DeMar DeRozan at 5.5 assists, a 20% hit rate over his last 5 games. And then you got Vucevic at 3.5 assists, 0%. You got Jrue Holiday at 7.5 assists at 0%. You could take a gamble. You could roll the dice on Brook Lopez here at 0.5 assists. Does he find 1 assist or does he not? Very crazy prop there. I don't typically like those props, but King United saying that Brook Lopez has actually hit at least 1 assist in every game this series. Okay, listen, we'll start there because that's kind of interesting. That's an interesting prop, right? It's one of those ones that's very binary. In other words, Lopez is probably either going to get 1 assist or absolutely no assists. So let's take a look at it. You said he had hit this in every game this series. Close, but not really, right? We bump him down to 0.5. You can see what he's done against Chicago this season. He has played the Bulls 6 times. He's 4 for 6 against the Bulls. He is actually 3 for 4. Not 4 for 4, but 3 for 4. Still strong. 3 for 4 in this series against the Chicago Bulls. He has covered this prop in his last 3 games. He dropped 1, and 2. 2 assists. I mean, that's like a career high or something, right? It's got to be up there for Brook Lopez. 2 assists for Brook Lopez. Wow. So yes, 3 for 4 in this series, 75% hit rate, 4 for 6 overall, 67% hit rate for Brolo on his 0.5 assist prop. Maybe you go there. I mean, hey, crazier things have happened, right? Especially if we're going to see him playing more minutes. Then I think it's a good look. But kind of one of those wonky, crazy player props. We'll take a look at a projection for Lopez. I have him projected for 0.8 assists today. 0.8. He is a minus 135 betting favorite to go over 0.5. So sure, yeah, let's throw Brook Lopez over 0.5 assists at a 75% hit rate. Sure, let's do it. You guys are all on it? Sounds like a lot of you guys are on it. Yo, what's up, Aaron Rodgers? Thanks for being here. I see we've got Cloudsy. Cloudsy's liking the over on Brook Lopez at 0.5 assists. We got Trey Prince He's saying good looks on Brook Lopez, going for at least one dime tonight. King United's liking it. Nick saying roll the dice, flip the coin on Brook Lopez. I like that. All right. Taking it. Cloudsy's also asking about Klay Thompson. We could talk Klay Thompson. We'll give him just a moment, though. We'll get to that game in just a moment. What about these other guys? DeRozan, Giannis, Vucevic, Jrue Holiday, any of these other Chicago Bulls, Milwaukee Bucks players that you guys want to talk about? What we can do here is take a look at DeMar DeRozan a little bit closer. We'll put him under the magnifying glass, the microscope, so to speak. We'll look at the season view. Games played without, we'll go Zach LaVine, obviously. He's a big, impactful piece of injury news. We'll take him out. And maybe we take a look at see what happens when we take Lonzo Ball out, too. All right, so LaVine and Ball out this season. DeMar DeRozan at 5.5 assists has hit the over in 8 out of 12 games. 67% hit rate. That's not too shabby. What about if we do LaVine and Caruso? We take both of those guys out. All right, so he's played 8 games without LaVine and Caruso. He's hit the over on his assists in 63% of those games. So pretty decent hit rates here. 63%, 67%. It'll only let me take 2 guys out, unfortunately, but kind of get an idea. He's right there between 65, maybe around 65 to 70% hit rates without LaVine, without Ball, without Caruso. Decent hit rates for DeMar DeRozan at 5.5 assists. He's definitely going to have to score. Either that or the Bulls are just going to get mopped. I think they're going to get mopped no matter what DeRozan tries to do. But as far as the projection goes on DeMar DeRozan at 5.5 assists, he's projected for 5.8. And he is a betting favorite to go over 5.5 dimes. Minus 130, minus 129. So the betting favorite to go over at 5.5 assists. Trey Prince is asking, what site do you suggest for advanced stats like potential assists? Well, if you're looking for potential assists, I would say look at NBA.com. If you guys have not spent any time on NBA.com recently, they've got some pretty good assist stuff. Stat stuff. They got some really good stuff for free over on NBA.com, like advanced statistics stuff. So definitely check out NBA.com. So you guys are saying taking the under on DeMar DeRozan at 5.5 assists. Okay. Alex is saying Brittany wants to know about Jrue assists. Who's Brittany? I didn't see a Brittany. Who the heck's Brittany? Did I miss? Is there a Brittany here? Well, maybe I missed Brittany. Anyway, yeah, Brittany. We can definitely talk about Jrue Holiday's assists. Let's do it. Because I don't like Jrue Holiday for points. So maybe I like him for his assists a little bit more. Let's go take a look at Jrue Holiday. Sorry, Brittany, if you asked about it and I missed it. Against the Chicago Bulls, Jrue Holiday at 8 assists is now a whopping 1 for 8. 1 for 8 against the Bulls this season. Just a 13% hit rate. 13% hit rate. He's got a floor of 2 assists, 5 assists, a ceiling of 13, which he's only done once. So I think, are you asking about going over or under here on Jrue Holiday? I'm guessing you're asking about going under on Jrue Holiday, right? He's 0 for 4 in this series at 8 assists, 6, 6, 6, and 7 so far through 4 games. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not trusting Jrue Holiday for much today from what it looks like. I'm not really trusting him to score. I'm not really trusting him for 8 or more assists either from what it looks like. Now, Cloudsy, you're asking, what happens this season when Chris Middleton's out? What happens to Jrue Holiday's assists? We're gonna look at that right now for you. He has played now 13. Let me make sure that's right. 13 games without 14 games. 14 games without Chris Middleton. He's hit 8 or more assists in just 1, 2, 3, 4 of 14. It's a very bad hit rate. So you're asking me, just based on hit rates, if you're asking me what I would do, I'd probably go under on Jrue Holiday at 8 assists. It ain't looking like one where he's gonna, go for 9 or 10. He has, but it's been few and far between. He's only done it 3 times through 14 games. So I would be leaning toward the under, not the over. His projection at 8 assists. So exactly where he's at on PrizePicks. At 7.5, he is a betting favorite to go over on most of your sports books out there. Minus 150, minus 155, minus 148. So, yeah, Jrue Holiday would be an underplay for me at 8 assists. So I don't really trust him for points. And I darn sure don't want to click the over on Jrue Holiday's assist at 8. So I would be leaning toward the under on him. So I would say add the Jrue Holiday under 8 assists to your playlist. Probably put Brook Lopez over 0.5 assists on your playlist. DeRozan for me would probably be more of an over, but I can understand you not wanting to go over. Maybe you think he's just going to be focused on one thing and one thing only, getting buckets, and so you don't trust his assists. So I can understand you not wanting to take the over on DeRozan there. Maybe it's just a fade. Trey Prince says, I think Jrue Holiday is going to end up scoring about 30% of the points for the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. Sheesh. Okay. Well then, let's move on to this other game here. Denver and Golden State. Who's leading the way on these assist props? Well, quite frankly, it's Monty Morris, and it's not even close. At 4.5 assists in the last 5 games, an 80% hit rate for Monty Morris. Definitely getting the job done when it comes to dropping dimes. Aaron Gordon, don't see him up on the board just yet, but Aaron Gordon at 2.5 assists, he's got a 60% hit rate. Will Barton at 3.5 assists over the last 5 games, 60% hit rate for him. But we're getting him at 3. So a half of an assist value, I guess you could say, on Will Barton. Steph Curry at 5.5 assists, 40% hit rate, but we're getting him at 6. Draymond Green at 7.5, 40% hit rate on him. And then Nikola Jokic, last 5 games at 6.5 assists, 0% hit rate. We're getting him at 6 today, though, so a lower number than the 6.5. Cloudsy, you want to go under on Klay Thompson's assist at 2? We could start there. Let's start there. Let's look at Klay Thompson first. Klay Thompson, we did not have any hit rate data, hit rate information for Klay Thompson on the props.cash trends page. But if we look at the games for Klay Thompson against the Denver Nuggets this season, he's only has only exceeded 2 assists in 1 game. It was all the way back in February. So the last 5 games against the Nuggets, he has went for 2 or less assists in 4 straight games. So I would say, based on what we see here, we've got 6 games now, Klay versus Denver. Most of the time, he's at 2 assists or less. So I would say maybe we should be thinking about leaning toward the under on Klay Thompson. Could it push? Yeah, it could push. Could end up in a tie or a push, but that's better than losing, right? The last 3 games specifically, 1-1-0. So, yeah, I would be leaning toward the under on Klay Thompson. As far as a projection on Klay, I got Klay projected for 3.2. Boy, they're feeling rather optimistic. These models, these projections on Klay Thompson. Speaking of projections, can we go back to yesterday for a minute? Because it just crossed my mind. Remember when they had Trae Young projected for 33 points and 11 dimes yesterday? 33 points? Yeah, that did not happen. Didn't even come close to 33 points. Trae Young. Anyway. I just wanted to bring that back up because that was an absurd projection for Trae Young yesterday at 33 points. Appreciate all 100 plus of you watching the live stream. Alex Johnson says 50 people watching? Smash the like button. No, there's 100 people watching, I guess. But yeah, y'all smash that like button. Mac B, what's up, brother? Ricky Carroll says smash that like button. All right, Everyday Fantasy, you're talking about Andrew Wiggins at 1.5 assists. Yeah, it should be an easy 100 likes. You would think, Alex, but it's never as easy as it seems, is it? So Everyday Fantasy, he's pointing out Andrew Wiggins. He's wanting to go over on Andrew Wiggins. So some of you folks are saying go under on Klay Thompson at 2 assists, which I agree with. I'm with you on that. But what about Andrew Wiggins? We're going over on Andrew Wiggins at 1.5 assists. Let's take a look at Andrew Wiggins real quick and see what he's been up to here. Andrew Wiggins against the Denver Nuggets. We got to bump him down to 1.5 assists. The hit rates get better once we bump him down to 1.5. He's now 4 for 7 against Denver and going over 1.5 dimes. Now in this series, he is 50%. Games 1 and 2, games at Golden State, he had 2 dimes in both of those games. Games 3 and 4, which were both at Denver, he only had 1 assist in both of those games. So he seems to have a higher hit rate when it comes to dropping dimes in this series when he plays at home. So maybe he gets back to 2 assists tonight. Is that what you're thinking, Mr. Everyday Fantasy? Is that what you're thinking, Mr. Everyday Fantasy? That because Andrew Wiggins will be playing in Golden State, that maybe we see his assists go back to 2? All right, thumbs up. All right, Everyday Fantasy. You're thinking that there's a home correlation here. Andrew Wiggins' assists when he plays at home are a little bit better. Let's look at it. He's projected for 2.4, which is definitely more than 1.5. But at 1.5, we've only got one sports book out there that has him up at 1.5. It's BetMGM, and at 1.5, it looks like the bettors out there are taking the under at 1.5 minus 135 to go under. Oh boy, you guys see what I just saw? Do you guys see? Oh, look, it's our guy. It's our guy. Are you excited? I'm excited. It's Jordan Poole. They finally gave us the pool party. You know, the summer's right around the corner. It's going to be getting hot out here, especially down here in Tampa Bay, Florida. Ain't nothing will keep you cooler than a good pool party. Jordan Poole has just been added to the PrizePicks board. Shout out to PrizePicks. Magic, thanks for being here, buddy. He says, good morning, CJ. Brandon Ingram sold the bag, but your MLB picks and Patreon were on point last night. Well, I'm glad you think so. We did do a pretty good job yesterday. I think we were 4 for 5 on MLB picks overall. Looking forward to today's slate. Yeah, we got some afternoon baseball. We'll definitely be tackling that in Patreon, in Discord after I get off the live stream here. Anyway, do we want to talk about some Jordan Poole? Is it pool party season? Do we go back to Jordan Poole? I think he did end up coming up short the last game, but maybe we go back to some JP. Jordan Poole. I don't even have him on props.cash yet. Let me refresh. Let's see if we got him once I refresh here. Denver Golden State. We want to look at the assists, and we want Jordan Poole. Boom. There he is. All right, gang. All right. Jordan Poole. Last 10 games, 80% hit rate. The last 5, it's been a little bit more shaky. This series especially, he is now 50% in this series. 1 for 2. At home, 1 for 2 on the road. Against Denver, though, this season, at 3.5 assists, he has now hit the over in 5 out of 7 games against Denver. So 71% hit rate. That's not too shabby looking. Hard to predict, but this guy's always going to be in the mix for at least 3 assists, right? We can at least agree on that. He's going to be in the mix for at least 3. Is there anything weird that happened with his minutes that caused him to go under? Not really. I mean, he only played 30 minutes in game 1, 33.8 in game 3, the games in which he missed. I wouldn't say that anything weird happened there. But yeah, it's just been one of those ones that have been boom or bust. But at least you always feel like you have a fighting chance, seeing that he's had 3 assists in games 1 and games 3. The games he missed, he was at least there, right? It's going to be a sweat. You're at least going to have a chance. Let's take a look at his projection. If we've got one. Let's refresh here on Action Labs. Boom. Got him projected for 5 assists. He is a betting favorite. Minus 145 right now to go over 3.5 assists. So they think it is bounce back season for Jordan Poole, which is typically what's happened here in this series, right? Down game in game 1, bounce back with 8 assists in game 2. Down game in game 3, bounce back in a big way with 9 assists in game 4. So I don't think that he's going to go under his assist prop. Based on what we've seen so far, 2 games in a row, this could be a perfect bounce back opportunity for Jordan Poole. Walking Spotted Bear. Links to everything that I'm involved with are down in the description of today's video. That includes links to Discord, links to Patreon, links to save 25% off of props.cash, and a link to join PrizePicks and get a 100% instant deposit match. All those links are down in the description of today's video. So Jordan Poole could be in a good bounce back spot. Let's talk about the guy who's leading the way as far as the highest hit rated assist player in the slate today, which is Monte Morris at 4.5. Over the last 4 games since this series has began, he is now 3 for 4, a strong 75% hit rate. We look at what he's done against Golden State this season. Through 7 games, he's hit the over on 4.5 assists in 5 out of 7 games, 71%. So Monte Morris, he's going to have a pretty good chance of hitting his assist prop. So 3 for 4. In this series so far, 75%. I think we would probably say that's a safe way to go. I will mention this for you. The game that he missed, which was game 2 on April 18th, he had 3 assists in that game. Probably has to do with the fact that he only played 25 minutes, which was a low for him in this series. Played a series low 25.4 minutes in game 2. So if he's going to get back up to 29, 30 minutes or more tonight, then I think he should be a fine play. But obviously, spent less time out on the court, had less assist opportunities as a direct result of those less minutes played. So yeah, I don't mind you going back to Monte Morris. If he's going to get 30-ish minutes or more, he should be in line for some assists. Anyway, Monte Morris at 4.5. We've got it projected at 4.8. At 4.5, the betting public, they're taking the under right now. Minus 140 and minus 135, respectively. So, I would go back to him. The one game that he missed, it was because he played less minutes. So, Hunter Scott saying that Poole's PRA is an absolute steal being back at home in a closeout game, that he is going to bounce back. All right. Appreciate the super chat, by the way, Hunter. Thank you for that. We will definitely take a look at Poole's PRA when that time comes. Otherwise, is there any other assist props that you guys want to take a look at? We talked about Will Barton. He had a pretty decent hit rate over the last 5 games at 3.5 assists. We're getting him at 3. I think Will Barton deserves a little consideration. We should at least go look at it, right? At least look at it. Will Barton, he's kind of been up or down in this series so far through 4 games. We haven't seen him have like back-to-back bad games when it comes to dropping dimes. So maybe he's due for a little bit of a bounce back as well, kind of like Jordan Poole, right? Similar to Poole, he doesn't really string together 2 bad assist games in a row. We're getting him at 3. In this series so far, he's at a 50% hit rate, had 5 in game 1, falls down to 2, had 5 in game 3, falls down to 1. Maybe he goes for at least 3 tonight. I'm not saying he has 5, but maybe he has at least 3 in him tonight. Could be. Let's take a look at his minutes. Well, he did play slightly less minutes in games 2 and games 4, the games where he missed his assist prop. Slightly less in those games. Not significantly less, but slightly. So maybe he bounces back tonight and gets at least 3 assists. Overall, 3 for 6 this season against the Warriors. Moving ahead here, looking at Will Barton. He is projected for 4.3. That's encouraging. But at 3.5 assists, the betting public, they're smashing the under at minus 155, minus 148, which is why we're getting Will Barton here at an even, smooth 3. So, maybe you go back. Zay, we're about to talk about some rebounds right now. Perfect opportunity for us to transition over to the rebound props. Let's start with Chicago, Milwaukee. Guys, let me know. Are there any Bulls, any Bucks rebounds that are catching your eye? This is your time to let me know, and I'd be happy to take a look at them for you. Little water break from me. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for all the likes, for all the love. If you haven't subscribed, make sure that you subscribe. We're going to continue doing player prop videos throughout the rest of the NBA playoffs. So hit the subscribe button and make sure notifications are turned on so you don't miss any content, right? That's the name of the game. All right, rebounds, Bulls and Bucks. Who's leading the way here over the last 5 games? Well, it's a lot of different guys. A lot of different guys for the Bucks are hitting at 60%. All these Bucks are hitting at 60%. Wes Matthews, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, and Jrue Holiday, all at 60% on their rebound prop. For the Bulls, you got DeRozan at 40%. Nikola Vucevic at 11.5 rebounds, 40%. You want to know about Javonte Green? Well, he's not up on the board yet, and I don't think there's any props yet for Javonte Green that have been posted on any sports books. Otherwise, they would typically be in Prop.Cash, and I'm not seeing any info for Javonte Green just yet. But Javonte Green might find himself playing more minutes tonight just because Chicago is so short-handed. Duncan's saying, if you're looking for an assist prop, maybe Bones Highland at 3, where it could push. Zay, remind me about those Curry boards if I forget about them. Jesse's asking Bobby Portis at 10 rebounds. What about those? Those sound good. We know Bobby Portis at 10.5 rebounds has a 60% hit rate in his last 5 games. So let's take a look at Bobby P. Bobby P at 10 rebounds. How does that look? We bump him down to 10. He has now hit 10 or more rebounds in 3 out of 4 games in this series. So that's 75%. We'll call it a 75% hit rate at 10 or more. He has gone over 10 rebounds in just 2 out of 4 games. When we take a look at the 7 games, make that 8 games. 8 games that Bobby Portis has played this year against the Chicago Bulls, he's hit 10 or more rebounds in 4 of 8. So he's 50% at 10 or better. And he's averaging about 9.8 versus the Bulls this season. So with Bobby Portis, you could see in game 2, he only had 2 rebounds. Let's take a look and see what happened there. I think that was the game he ended up getting scratched or something. Did he get scratched? Was that the problem? He got scratched in the eyeball or something like that? Got poked in the eye or something? Bobby Portis, game 2. Am I remembering that right? Some sort of injury that put him out of the game, where he only played 5.8 minutes in that one. Something happened to Bobby Portis where he ended up leaving the game prematurely. So we don't really count that. At least I don't. So if we throw that one away and we look at the games in which he's actually received his full run of minutes, 23, 25, 32, 25 to 30 minutes, let's just say, yeah, he's going to keep hitting the rebounds from what it looks like. 10, 16, and 12. Yeah. Yeah, he got scratched in the eye. He got the old Wendell Carter Jr. treatment. That's what happened to Wendell Carter Jr. And then Wendell Carter Jr. started to rock the goggles too. So anyway, Bobby P, we could throw game 2 away. 420 wasn't a good day for Bobby Portis. But he comes back real strong in game 3 with 16 big boards. And then game 4 has 10 rebounds. So, yeah, I don't mind Bobby Portis at 10 rebounds for a push, possibly an over. Because when the minutes are there, he's out there on the glass. He's doing his thing. Let's get you a projection on that, Bobby Portis. 9.6 is the number. 9.6 is the number. It's not 10 or more, but it's closer to 10 than it is 9. He is at 10.5 rebounds on all your sports books today, minus 140, minus 150, minus 148 to go under at 10.5. So for me, I'd probably say let's lean toward the over, being that he's hit 10 or more in 3 games in which he's played 25-ish minutes or more. So I don't mind you going over on Bobby Portis. What about the other rebounders that are on today's board? I see Drew Brees is asking about the Greek Freak. Are we getting freaky? Freaky deaky with Giannis Antetokounmpo at 13.5 boards. Is that a move that we want to make? Let's look at it. I remember when he was at 12.5 boards, and boy, I liked him at 12.5. But today we're getting him at 13.5. Now, kind of like Bobby Portis, he has hit the over on 13.5 rebounds in 3 out of 4 games. But in game 3, did not get the job done. But we talked about it. Game 3 was the blowout game, right? Big blowout. So Giannis only played 29 minutes in that game. Obviously, that was a direct impact to his ability to cover his rebound prop. 33.8 in game 1, 40.3 in game 2, and then 34.8. So if he's going to get over 30 minutes, 35-ish minutes, we should see him with a real shot, a real opportunity to reach at least 14 rebounds. So 3 for 4 in this series against the Chicago Bulls. 5 for 8 this season against the Bulls, 63%. Let's jump ahead. Let's get you a projection on Giannis. I have him projected at 13.7, slightly more than 13.5. I am seeing him being bet over at 13.5 on some books, but he's also being bet under at 13.5 rebounds on some other books. 4 books have him going under. 2 books have him going over. So I probably like Bobby Portis at 10. Feels a little bit more safe and secure for me. Any other Bulls or Bucks rebound props that you guys want me to take a look at? Anybody from the Bulls that you're liking at this moment? Got DeRozan. You got Nikola Vucevic. You got Pat Williams. Are there any of these Bulls rebound props that we talked about that you want to talk about? So far, we've hit on Bobby P for Milwaukee, formerly with Chicago, and then Giannis. I think both of those look like more like an overplay to me, but haven't seen any Bulls mentioned, so I'm just asking. Going once. Oh, Nick, is Vooch going to smash the over? Well, let's find out. We talked about the usage, right? Let's go back to that for a second and look at that. Go to this TRB category, total rebounds. Vucevic, 401 minutes played without Levine, Ball, and Caruso this season. 401 minute sample size. If he gets about 36 minutes tonight, we can possibly, maybe see him pull in 11 rebounds. That's a pretty sharp number at 10.5. Patrick Williams, it is a very limited, small sample size, 63.8 minutes played without LaVine, Ball, and Caruso. Per 36 minutes, he'd be at about 9 rebounds. So maybe take a shot on Pat Williams at 5. DeMar DeRozan, 4.8 total rebounds in over 720 minutes played without LaVine, Ball, and Caruso. So if he plays about 36 minutes tonight, even if we round this up to 5, he may not quite reach the over at 5.5 rebounds. So again, this isn't a lock. This isn't a guarantee, these numbers here. This is just, per 36 minutes, with the minutes that these guys have played without LaVine, Ball, and Caruso, maybe what we can expect on average, right? On average. So there's that. Anyway, back to what you're asking. You're asking about Vucevic. And if Vucevic, is he going to smash his rebounds or not? That's what you want to know. 10.5 rebounds this season against the Milwaukee Bucks. He's only exceeded 10.5 boards in 3 out of 8. We look at the last 4 games. Games 1 and 2 at Milwaukee, very good to Vooch. 17 and 13 boards respectively. In games 3 and 4, though, 6 and 10 rebounds. So let's take a look and see what happened to Vucevic in those games. Well, we know game 3 was a big-time blowout, so Vooch played less minutes in that one. But that doesn't really explain what happened in game 4. 38 minutes played. He finished with 10. It would have been death by hook on Vucevic. That 0.5 after the 10. That 10.5 is the hook. It would have been death by hook for Vucevic in game 4. So maybe he makes a return back to his healthy rebounding ways. I will say this. On the road against Milwaukee, 4 games played this season, he has hit the over in 3 out of 4, 75% hit rate for Vucevic. So seemingly rebounds better against Milwaukee when he's in Milwaukee. We can also take a look at what happens just to see if there's any impact when Zach LaVine's out. 57% hit rate for Vucevic at 10.5 boards. If we take Caruso out as well, what happens? 50%. Nothing too impactful or crazy there. If we take Lonzo Ball out, let's just see what happens. 58%. So not a significant uptick in his rebounding prowess without LaVine and Ball and Caruso. Nothing major happening, right? Nothing major happening. But anyway, let's get you a projection on Vucevic. Projected for 12.3 rebounds. Some sites like him over at 10.5 boards, minus 139, minus 134. Some sites, they have him going under, like BetMGM at minus 120. The public taking the under there. So a healthy projection at 12.3. There you go. A little bit about Vucevic. Isaac says, keep your eyes on those props. The books don't release till close to game time. I agree. Grayson Allen, I see you. Yeah, that's definitely a good way to find some value. Waiting till closer toward the start of the game's tip-off, you can find some value there. You can definitely find some value there. Nick, how are Vooch's road splits overall in the playoffs historically? That's a good question. Let's go playoffs. Let's throw these guys back in. Lonzo Ball and LaVine and all them. I don't know. It's not looking... is that it? Is that all we have here? That's all we have to go off of. Might have to use StatMuse. I'll let you dig into that on your own, but that's seemingly all we have here is what you see for playoff stuff. And that's including last season. So, gonna have to go. If you want answers to that question, like going back further than this season, last season, then probably StatMuse would be the way to go to check that out. Jesse Hill wants to know, what about Jokic? under 13.5. You guys ready to move on? Let's move on to the next game. We've beat this one to death. Denver and Golden State. Who's leading the way in terms of rebound props from the Denver Golden State game? Well, we got Andrew Wiggins at 5.5 rebounds over the last 5 games. 80% hit rate for him. Will Barton at 4.5 rebounds. 60% hit rate. We got Monty Morris at 2.5 rebounds. He's got a 40% hit rate. Nikola Jokic, which is the man you're asking about here. 40% hit rate for him. We'll talk about him in just a moment. Aaron Gordon, 6.5 rebounds. 20% hit rate. That's pretty ugly over the last 5 games. Maybe we go under on Aaron Gordon's boards at 6.5. Draymond Green at 7.5 rebounds. We're getting him at 7 on PrizePicks today, just a 20% hit rate. And then Steph Curry, 4.5 rebounds, 0%, but we're getting him at 3.5. So let's start with the one that you asked about, Nikola Jokic at 13.5. Jesse, you're wanting to go under this prop. So let's see if that makes a lick of sense. Or maybe you're just off your rocker, Jesse. We'll find out. We'll try to get to the bottom of the matter. All right, let's take that off. Let's go last 5 games. And Nikola Vucevic at 13.5 rebounds over the last 5 games. We're going to say last 4. He's only covered this in 1 out of 4 games versus Golden State in this series. But this season overall against Golden State, he's 50%, 4 for 8. 4 for 8. He's got 2 games at Golden State in which he's covered, 2 games at Denver in which he's covered, and then these other games he's pretty much 0%. 2 at home, 2 away. So yeah, overall 50% hit rate, averaging 13.6 rebounds against Golden State. But again, just 1 for 4 in this series so far. 10, 11, 18, and then 8. So is there a correlation to his minutes? Perhaps. We can say that game 2 for sure, he only played 28 minutes. That was the game he got ejected, right? Ended up with 11 boards. He probably would have hit the over had he played another 10 minutes or so. We'll never know for sure, but I would assume that he would find 3 more rebounds and about 10 more minutes of gameplay. So if you believe what I believe, then maybe he's more like a 50% hit rate type of guy versus Golden State in this series. But it's been hard to trust Joker, right? Hard to trust them. Golden State, tough team. Tough team. But I would say that maybe he's closer to 50%, being that he only played 28 minutes in game 2. I think he was well on his way to hitting the over there. But nonetheless, he came up way short in the last game, just 8 rebounds in that one. So we'll move ahead here and we'll talk about his projections and how the betting public is taking this prop. He's projected for 15.4 rebounds today, 13.5 boards. He's pretty much even money everywhere, meaning they're not touching the over, nor are they touching the under on Nikola Jokic at 15.4 rebounds. Or at 13.5 rebounds. Even money on Joker. Let's see here. Isaac says, my friend messaged PointsBet to ask for Grayson Allen lines for points and 3-point makes, and they said it should be made available closer to game time. Yeah, they know what they're doing, man. They know what they're doing. Yep, McGee got dumped for Biyombo. Sad times, sad times. It finally, they rug pulled us. That's what they call a rug pull. They pulled the rug out from under us on JaVale McGee last night. Hate to see that. Anyways, any other rebound props from this game? We talked about Aaron Gordon going maybe under 6.5 rebounds on AG. Let's take a look at Aaron Gordon real quick at 6.5 boards. Gordon in this series so far against Golden State, just a 1 for 4 hit rate. 25% hit rate so far against Golden State. He had 12 big rebounds in game 3. Otherwise, just 5, 5, and 6 in the other 3 games. Bringing his hit rate for the season against the Warriors to 3 and 7 or 43%. So again, we talked about the minute issues here for Aaron Gordon in games 1 and 2, 26 and 25 minutes. But then he saw a pretty big spike in games 3 and 4 for him, playing 34 to 35 minutes in those two games. So you might be flirting with disaster, being that he's seeing more minutes in the last two games. 12 rebound upside when he sees 34 to 35 minutes. We see him pull 6 rebounds in the last game. So again, I would be careful because we've seen 2 games in a row now where Aaron Gordon's received at least 34 minutes, back-to-back games. So I wouldn't be so fast at clicking the under on AG, I guess is kind of what I'm telling you. He is projected for exactly 6.5 rebounds at 6.5 on all your sports books. The betting public, they are taking the under on Aaron Gordon. They said, more minutes, be damned. We're taking the under. We don't give a crap if he's playing nearly 10 more minutes than he was in games 1 and games 2. We're taking the under. That's what the betting public's doing. So I don't know if you guys want to tail those fools. Oh, sorry. I didn't call them that. My bad. I don't know if you guys want to tail those fine quality people. But, I'd be careful taking the under on Aaron Gordon. Anything could happen, though. It's the playoffs, right? Isaac M says, don't forget to drop a like for CJ, the playoff physician. I like that. Zay Pade says he's feeling like Curry under boards is a trap today. I heard he's back in the starting lineup, and when they run small ball, Curry's movement, he gets some more boards sometimes. Can you project what he might get? Well, we can. We talked about Curry just a moment ago. Curry, I think by default on Prop.Cash was set at 4.5 rebounds. But here on PrizePicks, we're getting him at 3.5 rebounds. So let's bump him down to 3.5 boards. When we do that, his hit rates against the Denver Nuggets change slightly. He is now 2 for 7 this season at 4 or better against the Nuggets. But in this series so far, he's been steady Freddy. 3 rebounds through 4 games in each of those games. 3 in games 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 3 is the magic number for Curry so far. Looking at his minutes, he only played 21, but then he played 23, but then he played 30, and then in the last game he played 36. So we're seeing a slow but gradual increase on Steph Curry in his minutes per game. Is 36.8 his final form when it comes to minutes? Or will he see even more minutes tonight? Should we expect him to be closer to 40 minutes, potentially? In previous games against the Denver Nuggets this season, he has topped out at about 38, 39 minutes. So there's potential here for a couple extra minutes on top of this 36.8 that we saw him play in his last game. Maybe tonight he's up there at 38, 39 minutes. Maybe even 40 minutes, being that it's a playoff situation here. But yes, games 1, 2, 3, and 4, game over game, his minutes have started to climb. 3 rebounds through each of the first 4 games of this series. So I can understand you feeling like today might be a good day to get off of the under on Steph Curry rebounds. His minutes are going up. More minutes, more opportunities for rebounds. As far as rebounds go, projected for 5.3 rebounds, which is significantly more than 3.5. As far as the sports books go, what makes me a little bit hesitant to tell you guys to go under on his rebounds, we're seeing, for one, at 3.5 rebounds, a huge betting favorite at minus 162 on some of these books to go over at 3.5. So that's one reason to feel a little skeptical about going under again on Curry at 3.5. Huge betting favorite. I mean, minus 162, that's pretty good juice. Pretty good juice coming in on the over at 3.5. Another thing that makes me skeptical is that some of these sports books have him up at 4.5 rebounds, meaning they think a possible rebound outcome for Curry today could be between 4 and 5 boards. Whether he lands on 4 or 5, both of those numbers are more than 3.5. So be careful with taking the under on Steph Curry at 3.5 today. If you're getting him at 4.5, you can feel a little bit better about taking the under on 4.5. But yeah, I think maybe we flip the script and we look at an under on Steph Curry today at 3.5. Did I say under? We take the over on Steph Curry at 3.5. Over on Steph Curry at 3.5. All right. What other rebound props do you guys want to look at? Andrew Wiggins, Agent Zero, 5.5 rebounds. Let's take a quick peek at Andrew Wiggins, and then we'll move on to PRA. Wiggins so far in this series at 5.5 rebounds has been a monster. Wow. Surprisingly has been a monster on the glass. He hit 9 rebounds in game 1, 8 rebounds in game 2, 6 and 6 in games 3 and 4, bringing his overall hit rate for the series to 100%. And against Denver this season through 7 games, 71%. That is that's some strong numbers there. Strong hit rates for Andrew Wiggins. 9, 8, 6, and 6 in this series so far. So yeah. Looking like another one of those props where you're just going to keep riding it till the wheels fall off, right? His projected rebounds today are 5. At 5.5. Pretty much even money on most of these sites. Slight betting favorite on BetMGM to go over 5.5. I don't know. Maybe if we think Steph Curry gets more rebounds today, maybe Andrew Wiggins doesn't find 6 rebounds for once in this series. So there you go. All right, you guys are asking about some other like props like PRA and things like that. So let's move on to PRA. You guys let me know if there's any PRA props from the early game, the Bucks and Bulls, that you want me to look at. Bulls and Bucks, Bucks and Bulls, PRA props. If there's any that you want me to take a look at, holler at me. I will tell you this, that over the last 5 games, Wesley Matthews at 9.5 PRA, 80% hit rate. Brook Lopez at 19.5, 60% hit rate. The rest of the guys from this game, Vucevic, Portis, Holiday, DeRozan, they're all sitting at like 40% or 20% hit rates. The first one that's being mentioned is Hunter. He wants to know about Holiday's PRA. Are you wanting to go over or under? Now, based on the hit rate of just 20% in the last 5, I would assume that you're thinking about possibly going under on Jrue Holiday. Am I wrong or am I right? I know we mentioned Jrue Holiday already as an underplay for his 8 assists, which I still think is a fine look. If you want to go under Jrue Holiday at 8.5 assists, I'm not mad at that at all. We look at the 8 games he's played this season against the Chicago Bulls, 38% hit rate. Already out of the gate, 38% is terrible. Then we look at the last 4 games, all played from this current playoff series. He has only exceeded 33.5 once. Game 4, 25% hit rate. Definitely not just counting on hit rates, Hunter. I mean, that's not the only thing that I look at. Obviously, we're looking at a couple different things here, but why do you think Holiday for PRA over is the move? What are you basing your over on Jrue Holiday over 33.5 on? You're not basing it on the hit rate because that's terrible. It's a 25% hit rate, 38% against the Bulls overall this season. So what are you basing it on? No, I know you're not calling me out, but you're obviously wanting to go over on Jrue Holiday at 33.5 PRA from what you said. I'm just wondering what you see that makes you want to go over at 33.5. Being that he's had 27, 28 through 3 games. Yes, he did have a nice hit rate, 35 PRA in the last game. If you're really truly wanting to go over on Jrue Holiday at 33.5. I just want to know why. Maybe it's the increase in field goal attempts that he had in game 4, seeing 21 field goal attempts versus 14, 16, and 16 through the first 3 games. So you're going more off of gut, a feel. You think it's more of just, you're just feeling it out kind of thing. Not really like data driven, in other words. Not really backed by any type of numbers or like splits or anything like that. Your decision to go over on Jrue Holiday is more based on just instinct, what you think is going to happen, a game script that you've formulated in your head. It's not based on data or projections or anything. That's what you're saying, I guess. I got you. I mean, listen, everybody's got their strategies when it comes to, betting props. Some people are numbers driven. That's how I typically approach everything, is with a numbers driven approach. But if you feel down in your gut, down in your belly, that for whatever reason, Jrue Holiday's going to have a monster game tonight, take the over, man. At the end of the day, nobody knows with 100% certainty anything. We don't know anything. There ain't no locks. We've talked about it. No locks in this game. So you know just as much as I do, Hunter, of what's going to happen, which is nothing. We know nothing. We're guessing. We're doing educated guesses here. That's what this is all about. So anyway, just looking at this season, games without Chris Middleton, at 33.5 PRA, he is 43% hit rate, which means more often than not, he's going under 33.5. So I don't know if that matters to you at all. I don't know if that factors into your decision making whatsoever, that his hit rates are just 43% without Chris Middleton this season in a 14-game sample size. We can take it a step further. We can look at what he's done at home without Chris Middleton. 60% hit rate, 3 for 5 in home games. He will be playing in front of the home crowd tonight in Milwaukee. Versus his away games without Chris Middleton in the PRA. Much larger sample size, mind you. 9 games played on the road without Chris Middleton. He's 33%. T-Bone says, let's move on to MLB, boss. You know where the money's at. The money's in baseball right now, but people don't want to hear that. They want to hear basketball. But we'll talk about baseball. We got time, bro. We got time. But anyway, so there you go. Jrue Holiday. Hunter says there's something deep down inside that tells him Jrue Holiday's going to go off for 34 or more PRA tonight. And some of you agree, which is totally fine. Because again, at the end of the day, we know nothing. We don't know anything. We're guessing. So projection-wise for Jrue Holiday, I got him projected for 34.7 PRA. That puts him close to 35. Right now at 33.5, some of these mainstream sports books, we're not seeing any action over or under, but some of these other lesser known sports books, we are seeing bettors with real money in hand take the under on Jrue Holiday. They think last game when he shot 21 times from the field, that was a fluke probably, and that they're going to take the under at 33.5. So there you go. There you go. All right, what other PRA props do you guys want to look at? We've spent some time there on Jrue Holiday's PRA. Official M23 Dog says that my man, Giannis Antetokounmpo, is going to go under his PRA because the Milwaukee Bucks will have this game all bagged up and ready to go by the third quarter. By the end of the third quarter, it's going to be over. So he's thinking Giannis under PRA at 52.5. What I will tell you is this. More often than not, going under on Giannis Antetokounmpo's PRA has been working out, which seems to be the case with a lot of these stars. in the playoffs. So Giannis, when we bump him down to 52.5 PRA, hit rates don't really change. 38% against the Chicago Bulls this season. He's only exceeded 52.5 PRA in 3 out of 8 games. In this series, he is now 2 for 4, or 50%. Now, to your point, you're asking, or you're making the assertion, I guess you could say, that if Milwaukee has this game tight, all tied up and with a bow on top by 3 quarters, then we should be thinking about going under on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Just because he won't see as many minutes, because the game will be a blowout, right? At 52.5, he's got a 31% hit rate this season on his PRA. That is already pretty bad. 31% hit rate at 52.5. Now let's see what happens in games in which the Milwaukee Bucks have won by 10 or more points. 32% hit rate in games that are essentially a blowout. Games that are a blowout against the Chicago Bulls, in which Milwaukee has won by 10 or more points, he's 1 for 3, 33% hit rate. So you might be onto something. You might have a very real valid point here. If Milwaukee can handle business, take the Bulls out of the game within the first 3 quarters, Giannis may not be out there a whole lot for the 4th quarter. And he might be a better underplay than an overplay because of that. So moving on here, getting you a projection on Giannis Antetokounmpo. 55.2 is his projected PRA. We're seeing the sports books have him posted up at 54.5, which is a 2 PRA difference. But definitely leaning toward the under on Giannis, just based on what we've seen so far. All right, let's move on from this game. You guys are asking about baseball. You guys are asking about Jordan Poole. So let's go to the pool party. Let's talk about Jordan Poole and the rest of these Golden State Denver PRA props. Lead the way on PRA hit rates today from this game. Andrew Wiggins, Will Barton, Nikola Jokic, and Aaron Gordon, all at 60% hit rates. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, all at 40%. And then we got Monty Morris down at the bottom with just 20% hit rate in his last 5 games. So those are your guys that are going to get it done, and those that have not been getting it done. But Jordan Poole, very popular name. And for good reason. Jordan Poole's been hooping. He's been balling. So Jordan Poole's going to be a popular play today for very good reason, right? We do start to see Steph Curry's minutes creep up. We've talked about that. Curry's starting to get more and more minutes game after game. We saw Curry get more minutes than he's ever gotten in game 4 of this series. Maybe that impacted Jordan Poole a little bit. Possibly. Maybe. Will Curry get even more minutes? Will he be up there around 40 minutes tonight? Possibly. Maybe. Again, we don't know anything. No guarantees. We don't know anything. I want to keep reminding you guys that nobody knows nothing. Not me, not anyone else. But anyway, Jordan Poole against Denver this season, 5 for 7. In this series, he is now 3 for 4, 75% hit rate. But we did see him fall off a little bit with just 22 PRA in his last game. Now, the minutes were there for Poole. He actually played more minutes in game 4 than he did in any other game in this series so far. He topped 38, nearly 39 minutes in game 4. So it wasn't due to a lack of minutes. He didn't play fewer minutes. He actually played more minutes than he's ever played in game 4. What I will say is his field goal attempts were down. Games 1, 2, and 3, 13, 16, and 13. But game 4, he only had 10 field goal attempts. And on top of that, making matters worse, he was 3 for 10, just a 30% hit rate. So he did not score. Not only did he take fewer attempts, but his field goal makes were down as well. Finished with 11 points. Undoubtedly, that crippled his ability to hit the over on his PRA. Not only that, but his rebounds were down a little bit. Games 2 and 3, he rebounded a little bit better. His assists were definitely up. So he's doing more passing and less scoring from what it looks like. Wasn't in foul trouble, hasn't been in foul trouble at all this series. So he just took more of a pass-first role in Game 4. Took fewer shots, dropped more dimes. That was the name of the game for Jordan Poole, based on what I'm looking at here. His projected PRA today is 32.5. At 26.5, he is a betting favorite to go over. Minus 130 to go over 26.5. So there you go. We'll have to see what happens tonight with the Dubs, the Golden State Warriors. Yep, no minutes restriction for Curry. So we could see him creep up there around 40 minutes tonight. That is true. Steve Kerr has said there will be no minutes restriction for Steph Curry tonight. Yeah, Wiggins being a fourth or fifth option shows you how good Golden State is. Yeah, they're very good. They're very, very good. You're right. Agent Zero says, we know a lot from what we don't know. We're speculating, man. That's what we are. We are speculators. These are high volatility stocks that we're playing every day here with these player props. High volatility stocks is basically what we're doing with these player props daily. Anyway, let's move on from there. Let's finish this thing up here. 3-point makes. Any 3-point shooters that are catching your eye tonight, guys? Let's start with Chicago, Milwaukee. Wes Matthews at 1.5 3-point makes. He's leading the way last 5 games at 60%. Giannis, 60% at 0.5 3-point makes. Brook Lopez, not up on the board. Nikola Vucevic at 2.5. At 2.5 3-point makes, 40%. We're getting him at 2 on PrizePicks. Bobby Portis at 1.5. 40% hit rate for him in the last 5. Jrue Holiday, we talked about not really trusting him for threes. Probably just off the top of my dome say that we would probably lean under on Jrue Holiday today. And then DeMar DeRozan, not up on the board. So any Bucks or Bulls? Bucks or Bulls that we're wanting to take here for 3-point makes? Hunter, at least your team made the postseason. I'm an Orlando Magic fan. And that's all I'll say. You probably understand my pain. But yeah, any of these Bucks or Bulls 3-point makes standing out to you guys? I mean, Wes Matthews is leading the way here. If I were to play a Wes Matthews prop, I think I prefer I prefer him to make 2 3-point makes than I do prefer him to make 7 points. I think I'd rather take my chances on him draining 2 threes than I would him finding 7 points. So if you're thinking about Wes Matthews, maybe take Wes Matthews for threes. Matthews is projected for 1.7 threes. At 1.5, he's a betting favorite to go under right now. You think Giannis finds a 3 tonight? Maybe he does. He is projected for 1.2 3-point makes. At 0.5, we're seeing some strong action here. Minus 145 and minus 150 to go over 0.5. You could take a shot on him. Wouldn't be mad at that. Would not be mad at that. The Magic are starting to come around. You're right, man. We're going to land us hopefully a top 3 pick. One of the top power forwards. Hopefully, I want Smith. Maybe Holmgren. But we'll see what happens. Maybe Bancaro. Am I saying his name right? Duke boy. Maybe him too. He'd be in the running to top 3. Anyway, yeah, Magic I think are on the upswing. We're on the way up. Hopefully the rebuild is good. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else from these Bucks. I'd probably lean under on Jrue Holiday, maybe an over on Wes Matthews. Vucevic could knock down 2 threes. I could see it happening. So let's talk about this other game, because that one looks more interesting, right? Denver Golden State leading the way as far as three-point make hit rates. Klay Thompson, 80%. Draymond Green, 80%. Then you got Andrew Wiggins at 60%. We're not getting any of these guys on the board today. Monty Morris is at 60%. We do have him to choose from. Joker's not up on the board. 40% for him. Will Barton, 20%. He's not up on the board either. Aaron Gordon, 20%, and Steph Curry at 20%. They do not have any hit rates for Jordan Poole, but let's look at them. We can do that using props.cash here. So let's pull him up for three-point makes. We talked about the last game that he played, just didn't have the same scoring output. Wasn't taking as many shots, so therefore he wasn't making as many shots. But the last 7 games for Jordan Poole against the Denver Nuggets, he is now 5 for 7. He's also 3 for 4 in this series, so 71% overall, 75% against the Denver Nuggets. So I think he's got a pretty good shot as long as he comes out there and he's shooting the ball a little bit more. Because we look at the three-point attempts, the last 2 games, they've been down to 5. So if he's only going to take 5 again tonight, he's going to have to be very efficient. He was efficient in game 3, knocking down 3 out of 5. Not so efficient in the next game, shooting 1 for 5. I like this Jordan Poole better, the one that's shooting 7 and 10. But with Curry getting healthy, with Curry's minute restriction being lifted, could be asking a lot for Jordan Poole to knock down 3 threes tonight. If he's only going to take 5, we're going to need him to be pretty efficient on those 5 attempts. So moving forward on Jordan Poole here, he's projected for exactly 3.5. He is a betting favorite at minus 120 to go over 2.5. You're talking about going over on Curry? You want Curry to talk about Curry? Let's do it. Because we know Steph Curry not going to be on the minutes restriction. 3.5 threes, though. I mean, it sounds so low. The greatest three-point shooter of all time, you know, Steph Curry, obviously. At 3.5 threes, he's got to make 4. Oh, man, just sounds so good, doesn't it? Sounds doable. Last 7 games against Denver, though, he's only done this in 3 out of 7. Has not been easy. In this series so far, he is now 1 for 4. Worth noting, the one game that he did hit the over was at home. So maybe he's due for a game where he knocks down at least 4 threes. No minutes restriction or anything like that. I mean, it could be the move. Could absolutely be the move. In this series, again, we talked about his minutes creeping up. Game over game, he's seen a minutes increase. Tonight, I think we see him play even more minutes than the 36.8 minutes he had in the last game. Looking at these last 4 games as far as three-point attempts go, attempted just 6, then 10, then 9, then 11. So if you tell me Steph Curry's going to shoot 10, 11 threes tonight, maybe even more, and he's got to make 4, I don't mind putting my money on the best shooter of all time with no minutes limit. So I'm with you, Mr. Ruiz. I could see Steph Curry getting there. Right now, he is projected for 4.7 3-point makes. He is a betting favorite at minus 130, minus 135 to go over 3.5 threes. So I can definitely get with that. I might like Curry a little bit more than I like Poole, now that I think about it. Bradley Beal to the Hawks confirmed. You are funny. But that would be dangerous. That would be dangerous. All right, free throw makes. Talked about some of these guys, in previous streams and stuff like that. Jokic, if he's coming out aggressive like he has been for the last 3 games, asserting his will, his dominance on Kevon Looney and company, then I don't mind him for 6 or more free throw makes tonight. He has hit the over in this in the last 3 games. So you could go Jokic, potentially, as long as he's playing aggressive basketball. We don't want passive Jokic. We want, I'm going to drop my shoulder into your chest and draw contact Jokic. That's the one we want. DeMar DeRozan's really going to have to step into just a do-everything type of role. You can use StatMuse for something like this. You can go DeMar DeRozan, FTM, without Zach LaVine logs include playoffs. We'll see what happens here. So DeMar DeRozan in games without Zach LaVine. That's an over. That's a push. That's an under. That's an over. 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 So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, we'll throw that one in. The last 10 games, he's gone over in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 10. He's 8 of 10 at 7 free throw makes or better in his last 10 games without Zach LaVine. So 80% at 7 or better in his last 10 without LaVine. 70% at actually going over 7 free throw makes without Zach LaVine. I think we take a chance on DeMar DeRozan at 7 free throw makes. Over. That one looks like a pretty good one. Of course, Giannis, always in the mix. He's had some issues making free throws. He's been getting to the line in some of these games, but his free throw percentage has been down in some of them, but he's always going to be a worthwhile guy. We talked about Jrue Holiday not really getting to the free throw line a whole lot, even with an increased role without Chris Middleton in town. Aaron Gordon, maybe. Doesn't really move the needle much for me. Curry has reached the free throw line in 5 or better free throw makes in the last 3 games, 5, 6, and 10. So we talked about his minutes increasing. With the minutes increasing, more opportunities for him to get fouled and get to the free throw line. So you could go Curry for free throw makes as well. So Curry, DeRozan, honorable mention, Giannis. I think those are good ways to go. Oh, and Jokic too. Jokic as well. Heck, just throw all these guys in an entry together. You go Jokic, Curry, Giannis, and, build yourself out a little 4-pick or something. Flex it. You never know what's going to happen with free throw makes. Anyway, blocks and steals, you guys know the drill. Don't go crazy with any of these blocks and steals props. I'm never taking a bunch of blocks and steals, but for giggles, we'll take a look at the hit rates here. Brook Lopez leading the way at 60%. Wes Matthews at 40%. The Greek Freak, just 20%. Just don't go nuts with any of these. Jokic at 2.5 blocks and steals. Maybe you do take a shot on him. 80% hit rate in the last 5 games for him. He could be a good one. Draymond Green at 2.5 blocks and steals. 60% hit rate in the last 5 games for him. That's about it. Jokic probably the best look. So, what about Curry's points? We didn't talk about Curry's points, I don't think. He's at 27.5. I don't know if I'm ready to go over on Curry's points. I do like his 3-point makes, though. I have him projected for 27.6 points, and he is a betting favorite to go over 27.5 on some sites, some books. So, anyways, gang, over 2 hours talking about 2 basketball games. Pretty stupid of me, huh? But hopefully all my hard work and time spent discussing tonight's games leads some of you to some profits. If you liked anything about today's live stream, hit the like button on your way out. As for me, I'm going to go do some MLB research, put some picks out there that look good to me for the Patreon gang. So if you're in Patreon and you're watching, you'll see me very soon. Thank you so much for all your support. Till tomorrow. Good luck tonight. Peace.